everyone. So this session today is going to be about family engagement resources, how we can find and provide fantastic resources for our families to help them support learning at home. As usual, here are our Every Child Ready guiding principles. Today we're going to focus on the principles of nurturing and inclusive. We want to make sure that our students are experiencing positive feelings about schools, teachers, and their community. So that really taps into the nurturing aspect of the principles. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we are inclusive of our students' family, culture, and previous experiences. We want to make sure they're celebrated and incorporated into the classroom community. And the way we do that is by encouraging families and providing resources to continue learning at home. Our objectives for today are to identify why family engagement matters in early childhood and identify tips for strategic communication that will foster strong school-to-home relationships. We will discuss why it's important to provide meaningful academic resources for families to use at home, and we will learn how to access standards-aligned ECR resources to share with families. When we meet in person this week, we will practice pooling resources for specific students in our classroom. All right, so let's talk a little bit about relationships. Relationships are work, right? Research has been done in a variety of contexts, in the workplace, in marriages, on the proportion of positive to negative interactions that are required to keep a relationship healthy. Are you ready for what it is? It's 5-1. So for every negative interaction that you have with a parent, you need to have 5 positive interactions to maintain a healthy relationship. That's why ongoing positive communication is a key ingredient of effective family engagement. I'm going to say that ratio again. 5-1. You need to have 5 positive interactions to maintain a healthy relationship. For every 1 negative or maybe just not very positive interaction. So once trusting relationships are in place, families and teachers can begin to work together effectively to accelerate children's learning. To be effective partners, families need information and support from teachers. They need to know what their child is learning, where their child is academically, where the child needs to be, and how they can support learning at home. Ongoing individualized communication to provide each family the information that they need to help their child is essential. So you see, it's kind of a cycle. To have strong academic partnership, you need ongoing communication to build those trusting relationships, which then feed back into academic partnership. It just keeps going around. One thing I want to really note and highlight, and some of you probably already know this, is that parents are a child's first teacher. Your students' families know the most about your student because they have been with them since the beginning. It's really, really important to be cognizant of how family engagement looks different for different families. It's important for families to feel supported and recognized for the ways in which they are able and choose to participate to engage. For example, family engagement for one family might simply be bringing their preschooler to the program each day. It could even be serving on a committee, or maybe it could be a parent speaking up about a concern they have. I know it can be hard sometimes when parents do seem to have complaints or they might speak up about something that happened, but this might be a really valuable way for the parent and the way that they engage. So acknowledging and supporting this engagement while also providing resources can have great outcomes for students. An article from the RTI Action Network cites 2 studies that show the value of family engagement in early childhood. Researchers at the University of Oxford found that children whose parents participated in the Peers Early Education Partnership, which was a program geared towards supporting families of children ages 0 through 5, made significantly greater progress in their learning than children whose parents did not participate. These strides were found in children ages 3 and 5 and included progress in vocabulary, language comprehension, understanding of books, and print and number concepts. In addition, These children also exhibited higher self-esteem in comparison to children of non-participating parents. Another study published in the Journal of Instructional Psychology reported that improving parental involvement in the classroom can improve schools in general. The authors describe how everyone within the school community can benefit when parents and teachers work as partners. So, what are some tips for communicating with families? Here are 6. After we finish going through these, we're going to reflect on which ones seem to come more naturally and which ones might be a little bit more something that you might need to work on. I know the first one is something that I had to work on when I first became a teacher. So the first tip is to communicate strengths first. When communicating with parents about their child's academic and or emotional needs, it's often helpful to frame the conversation about strengths and talents before dealing with an area of concern. This can set a positive tone and even help defensive parents feel as though you appreciate the good in their child. In more cases than not, parents and teachers share the same impressions about strengths and weaknesses. The challenge is often how to initiate a conversation without pointing fingers at anyone about being overly sensitive or unnecessarily concerned. The second tip is to acknowledge parents as their child's first teacher. We talked about this a little bit before. Elicit ideas from parents about ways to provide support for their child. If possible, share a tentative plan of action and integrate parents' suggestions as appropriate. Review information with parents and help them to appreciate their role as partners in gathering and sharing information, supporting skill development, monitoring progress, and ongoing decision making. The third tip is to be a good listener. There is much about a child's home situation and prior educational experience that can help you make good decisions. As important is the way that you listen to what parents have to say. They often provide much more information than was asked to them and offer cues about whether they need more information about a particular issue and whether they are prepared to hear what you need to say. Another really important tip is to organize your thoughts before sharing them with parents. It may be a good idea to confer or even role play with a colleague before initiating a conference with a parent if you're not sure how it's going to go. Always remember that you are the professional and you're the one who needs to be prepared when you meet with families. So that's organizing your thoughts and also organizing any materials that you might want to share with them. The fifth tip is to say it again. For some parents, conversations with school personnel can be stressful, regardless of the topic. Try to deliver your message in more than one way, offering examples whenever possible. Ask the listener to confirm what they have heard and what they understand the implications of your message might be. Having parents retell the major points in their own words can be a really helpful strategy to engage parents as partners and also avoid misunderstandings. Finally, you're going to have some tough conversations. Don't take it personally. Again, you're the professional. Try not to take it personally. Try not to be defensive if parents lash out upon hearing quote-unquote bad news or something that they might not want to hear. Try not to take their reactions personally. Remember, there may be other circumstances at work or home that are affecting their current reaction. So of the tips that we just shared for communicating with families, type in the chat, which one comes most naturally? Which one will you need to work on?